What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Winning Mentality Productions again. Today we have a new series, Retrospective, which is now called My Journey as well. We had two different names, we couldn't decide, so we just thought merge them together.
Retrospective
and you're probably
colon.
thinking, Retrospective colon, correct, yes. You're probably thinking, why am I presenting this time? This is not normal. Where's the guy from Hereford, wherever the hell he's from?
I mean, close enough. It's not far
Close
away.
enough. Yes, Mr. Stonadge is now the guest today.
Well,
Or this time.
I'm going to be here.
You're co-hosting as well. He's going to be here every time.
It's both of us today, really. It's like, what we're going to do is basically giving you an EG for our series. So we're going to be getting...
It's a taster.
It's a taster, exactly, because it's not quite as good as the real thing. But it's sort of...
Yes.
I'm not going to make any innuendos, because this is a PG show today.
We're being serious this time, folks.
Exactly. We're not taking a minute, but today we're going to be just doing... talking about our media lives, media career, what's got us to where we are so far, which is not for myself, not so far, but for Has maybe a little bit
further. No, I mean we're still young in the game, still like
exactly
the Cubs about to approach the Pride, perhaps. I mean, depending on if you want to make a Lion King joke, whatever.
The Wonder Kids waiting for their first team chance.
Yes, we are. Vinicius Jr. and Erling Braut Haaland.
Absolutely, that's us. But
who's who is the question?
Exactly.
I'll let you decide.
Anyway, we may as well just get straight into it, Has.
Yeah,
I don't know who's going to start asking who, really.
I'll start first, seeing as I'm supposed to be Mr. Host today. So, first of all, how are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic, mate. I've got a lot of stuff to do in this lockdown time. Got family to talk to, at least, even though I don't talk to them most of the day. I'm mostly in this room. And apart from that, yeah, it's going all right. You?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Trying to, like yourself, stay busy. But you've been a busy boy. Absolutely churning out the content all over the place. Saving Saints has been your essential go-to series so far.
It's been my focus.
Of course, we've got the tier lists, which are due out. They may already be out by the time this rolls out, actually.
It probably will be, yeah.
They will be. We've been churning it out left, right and centre, really. So
that's us.
This is your newest project, of course, but where did you start? What's your earliest memory in the world of media, the big scary world of media?
I can remember the day. Actually, it was October 2017, I believe.
Wow, the exact date.
October the 15th or 16th, 2017. I'd always been like, right, if you think about it, since childhood, you watch your favorite sports people. Like, for me, it was Xabi Alonso, Fernando Torres, Steven Gerrard, and I was just like, I'm gonna be a footballer, mate. I'm brilliant, mate. And then, I sort of dawned on me that I wasn't really very talented. So, so pretty much, I was just like, what's better? What's just as good about football? Oh yeah, I can write about it. But it wasn't actually football. I'll tell you my first piece, actually. It was about cricket. And I'm a massive cricket fan myself. And I'm actually going to get it up right now. mysportinglowdown.com it's called. Oh,
okay. So this is your first ever array into blogs?
Yeah, it was on Blogger. And it was because my dad suggested to me, like, why don't you start a blog? You may as well do it. It was in my GCSE year. And I'm just going to get it up. October 2017. I did one blog a month. Oh, no, it's September 2017. I tell a lie.
Oh, he's got it wrong.
September 24th, 2017. Pre-Ashes thoughts. Will Bayliss's buoyant England triumph? And I wrote it's huge. It's about 5,000 words, by the way.
Wow, fair play. I mean, some people don't even do that for uni essays. I mean, I struggle with that at the best of times. So the fact you did that as your first blog is hella impressive.
Well, yeah, but obviously it was very, I didn't have... And I ended up doing about 35 of those on there. And then there was a cheeky man popped up in my LinkedIn DMs. Obviously, I'd done this and I'd done a Medium page as well. So I had a Medium page I'd written on that. His name was Conor Dunford. Now, Conor Dunford slid into my LinkedIn DMs. If you haven't done who Conor Dunford is, he'll be on Timeless Debates and do an FM series himself on this channel now.
He will be,
He's now under me.
He's the elite man. He is the elite man. The God and the Saviour himself.
He absolutely is. And he slid into my DMs. Yeah, how you doing, pal? Read a few of your Medium.com pieces, pretty decent. Fancy coming writing for Radio Football? I was just like, yeah, what is this? And he's like, it's a website, and we also do podcasts, and obviously that moves on a lot later on. But from that, so I went and did 30 pieces for them, and then Radio Football shut down. We cry every time. I miss it so much.
I do miss Radio Football myself, having guested on their podcast a couple of times.
I never did, unfortunately. See, I was never selected for that. And then Conor invited me over to Prost International. I've written nearly 100 now for them, so I'm not writing very much at the moment though, so that's unfortunate. But I will get a piece out soon. I promise you guys who are waiting for this. And from that, I obviously met yourself.
Yep, here we are. Started at the bottom, and we're somewhere here.
I met Adrian Kia, co-host of The Young Ones, which actually, I'll move on to Winning Mentality in a minute. He's become a massive part of it. Met Tom Hardy, who came on the Quizmas special. Ross has come and joined the ship. Steve Clare, the big boss, absolute legend of a man.
The Godfather himself.
He is. And you just form all these contacts, and
yeah.
I've been lucky enough to talk to people like Jimmy Case, John Hoskinson. Like, interviewing is something I really like doing. So we will get a few interviewers on, wink wink, for the next.
We've got some tasty ideas, tasty names, some interesting folks. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah. So it comes about Radio Football lacking in content really in terms of variety. Conor messaged me like, "You ever interested in doing a podcast, mate?" I was like, "No, how'd you do this?" And he explained to me everything really, and that is where The Young Ones was born. It makes me smile to this day because I remember it. We didn't plan anything for the first episode. It was me, my mate George, and my mate Archie. We were just like, right, let's just screw it. We're just gonna do it. And then we started recording, and then we just started laughing all the way through. It was absolutely hilarious, and it was recorded in my kitchen. The massive echoes in the background. Oh my goodness me. And it's where it is now, really, and it's gone from strength to strength. The Young Ones became Winning Mentality, which Winning Mentality birthed My Five, which is, I love My Five. It's really, really unique.
Yeah.
Allah Salah. Oh mate, I just want it back. I still miss Allah Salah. Match day.
Give us a little lowdown on what that was and why it's obviously currently no more.
Well, basically, I was recording stuff at the Liverpool games, obviously, and it was great. It was so good. It was so sick. Because no one's ever done it, but there's a reason why, and that's because of
copyrights and yeah.
And so
big scary world that.
I think now I've looked back at the laws, I can do it, but I can't involve any of the in Anfield matchday audio. So
yeah,
if I can still record like my voice and the crowd noise and stuff like that, but anything to do with Anfield, so I will try and bring it back for the new season. Snapshot was born. That was never going to last. 5-minute daily updates. Crikey, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Doing about 4 of those. And then now it's grown even further. So we've got Timeless Debates, which is, I think, is my favourite series.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's just total and utter rubbish, really, isn't it?
But it's amusing, and well, I'd hope it amuses the people, and I do hope it doesn't offend anybody.
It's a load of utter rubbish, but it's amazing. We've got Explorer 24, Adrian's more niche podcast for the League Twos people, and now we've got this, of course. And then, of course, 2 months ago, we've got so much going on in my life at the moment. I decided, you know what, bring back the days of the YouTube channel, which of course went back into 2015 or in 2016. I did a YouTube channel, got about 85 subscribers, lost all of them. But then Winning Mentality's come, and now we're starting to rule the world. So
got to start somewhere, innit?
Absolutely. We're nearly at 150 subscribers. We will be probably.
It's been steady progress, man. Definitely.
It has been, and we're always moving, and we're always coming up with new content. So yeah, that is basically a rundown of my career so far, and I'm welcome to any questions.
Well, so obviously you're still, quite young in the old age.
Yeah, that's me.
You're still quite the young mucker, as they may say in the good old Midlands where I'm from. You're going to university soon?
Nice. Yeah, University of South Wales in Cardiff.
He's
unconditional offer. Thanks, Julie.
Got to flex. Got to flex those unconditionals. So obviously, that's the next step of your journey per se. So what is it that you're looking to add to your bow per se when you step into the world of uni? Because obviously a lot of people have varied views on university. I mean, I know a lot of people who have done the traditional sort of do the degree, get into the world of work scenario. Then obviously people who kind of graft their way to their positions, if that makes sense. You know, they may start on blogs, they may start on YouTube channels, podcasting even now as well, and you know, they make their way into the media world. So obviously you're going the more, I guess we could say, traditional route, like myself.
I think I'm going more the wildfire range, really, because I'm taking every single route I can and hoping that one makes it. I mean, it's a risky thing, but if I put the work in, then hopefully that'll do it. But in terms of university, what really interested me about the Uni of South Wales is it's a vastly practical course. So what Julie Kissick, the course leader, is really portrayed is that you will be every Wednesday. You're out there, you're reporting. You go to Swansea games, Cardiff games, Newport games, ice hockey, cricket, football, rugby, anything you would like. And that, for me, the practical element of it is brilliant. And they've also got radio studios, TV studios. Like I'm learning now a lot of it. Like the stuff with Premiere Pro and stuff like that. That's going to really help me.
Absolutely.
And Photoshop, you know, that sort of thing. That's preparing me now for what I will be learning in 6 months' time if we get out of lockdown. So
of course, pending we get out of lockdown.
That is very true. But yeah, so I think the amount of strings to my bow, if I add them all, then hopefully one of them will hit a deer and I'll find a path.
Gotta love that bit of roadkill there as well.
Absolutely.
Who knows what you'll find in there? Who knows what you'll find in that carcass? So, you know, obviously you'll step into university and complete, I'm presuming, what is a 3-year course. You know, you'll learn all the wonderful things that they do teach you at university, having, you know, nearing the end of that journey now myself as well. So into the sort of the big, scary, open, wide world. You know, there's employers, there's apprenticeship schemes, graduate schemes even, you know, all these different things. In the world of media, I don't think people quite realise how vast it really is. I mean, when I first started out, I just thought, I'll just sit behind a keyboard, I'm happy with that. It's not until you really step into it that you really see just how big it is. And obviously, you know, everyone likes to be the most versatile they can. But is there any particular kind of route that you really want to go down? Like any particular employer, perhaps, maybe particular job title, particular place?
There's a very interesting story about this. So when I was younger, I'm talking 5-6 years old, my granddad, who's no longer here with us, unfortunately, he put me down in front of the TV, and it was Challenge TV, right? And Challenge TV, if you don't know what Challenge TV is, it has all the old quiz shows on it. Yeah. It had Bullseye, you know, 15 to 1 and like stuff like that. And I was like, I want to be a game show host. Yeah, I want to be a game show host. And then looking back on that now, I think that really helped. That sort of showmanship, I think I gained from it. Yeah. I think it always lends itself to broadcast. Like, I love writing. I think it's one of my passions. And it's something that I think I'll take up and I will continue doing throughout a time of broadcasting. But I think my future does lie there, 100%.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's definitely an interesting sector to work into. I mean, when you first sort of step into a TV studio, and I only recently got the experience of that at university. I'd never stepped into a green screen room. I'd never seen what an auto cue does. Yeah. And when you're first sort of reading a script off an auto cue, it's a bit sort of it's almost a bit like discombobulating almost, because it's like scrolling down. You're like, oh my god, what on earth? Like then you sort of appreciate like even what just basic news readers do. And I think that sort of practical element of it is huge. So what's sort of like your favourite side so far that you have experienced, and what's maybe your least favourite side that you've experienced so far since you've stepped into the media world?
Well, my favourite part of it?
Yeah, favourite part of it. So, you know, whether it's recording, podcasting, writing.
To be honest, my favourite part is getting positive feedback. Like, I love it. I feed off it, really. It sounds like I'm a compliment fisher. But I'm not. So whenever I get like, oh, well done, you know, you're working really hard, something like that. Like that's my favourite part. But it usually comes from podcasts. Yeah. And I just love doing. Like, you could do so much, so much. And I love videos as well, especially Saving Saints. It's just totally and utterly crazy. And that's what you do when you're in lockdown. But I think my favourite part is definitely podcasting, because that's where it will go and it will stay. My least favourite part is probably writing previews, to be honest with you.
I think everybody hates doing all previews. They're just so robotic.
Monotonous. And
yeah.
I want to be creative with my writing. And when you're locked in a preview sort of role...
Yeah, you can't sort of deviate anywhere, really. It's like literally the same sort of scheme, isn't it, every time? Right intro.
Yeah.
Liverpool are playing Swansea in the FA Cup. On whatever the day is, or whatever time. It's the only thing I could think off the top of my head.
Exactly.
Here's the team news. Here's the form guide. Here's what Klopp said pre-game.
Literally.
End of demo. That's literally it. Obviously, you've got other sides of writing. So, you got analytical pieces, features, and all those sort of more colourful elements. Like, what's your sort of take on those? Are those like your more favourite thing to do?
I massively prefer that sort of thing, but there's the issue that the content for that is a lot more sparse.
Absolutely.
But I love interviewing people. I think I just absolutely love doing it. Like Jimmy Case, former Liverpool Southampton player back in the day, he was cracking to interview. James Pearce, athletic worker, amazing guy, really, really nice guy, and hopefully we'll get him on here. That's the goal. I have dropped him a message, so come on, James, please.
Get back to us.
Please. But yeah, I definitely think that if you've got the content there and you have the drive to like really perfect it, I think that is possibly the most satisfying part of media.
Absolutely, I can understand that. It's very much also quite satisfactory when you finish off something that you've been slogging over for however long, and somebody else reads and like, that's cracking. I don't think there's many sort of, at least for me now at this point, there's not many better feelings at this point. And that's before either of us really ventured into the spectrum that is still out there. But what do you feel like is the main end goal to you? Like, where do you want to ultimately get to?
See, this is where I really I've got an interesting viewpoint on this one.
Okay.
I don't believe in end goals. I believe in short-term goals. So I think if you focus too much on, say, a dream, like and a pipe dream, and it might not, it might be realistic, it might not be, then it can be sort of demotivating when you don't get there. What I like to do, like, and you'll see it on this YouTube channel, like short-term goals. Oh, can we hit 150 by the end of April? Look how we've nearly done it already. Like, that's crazy stuff. Like, let's hit 200. Let's short-term motivational goals that drive you short-term. And if you keep setting those short-term goals, you will eventually achieve what other people call a long-term goal. But for myself, and of course, I dream to be like on Sky Sports. I dream to be, working for the Athletic or something like that, or so just on a professional thing like that. But then at the same time, I'm not going to be like, if I don't get there in 2 years' time, I'm going to be like, and that's why I have to focus on short-term goals to really motivate myself to achieve what other people call a long-term goal.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's an interesting take, actually, because obviously a lot of people get fixated, especially in modern society, on the idea of, having, an XY position somewhere, or they dream of so many followers on whatever social media platform, or getting so many views per video or something like that. And I think people become so fixated, and I think it's almost impossible to sort of not get sort of sucked into, especially now in the sort of age that we're in, where clout is kind of almost everything at this point. Like, if you're not, so many thousands of followers here and there, and you don't have, as big a social standing, people sort of, I think, almost look down on you.
Exactly.
Have you not found that daunting at all? Like,
one massive thing that really helped is a Prost International, actually. Steve Clare never lets anyone see the view numbers.
Yeah,
that is massive. I think that is brilliant. And
absolutely, yeah.
Whatever people say, like, every single work is on a par. It's on a par. Like,
yeah.
Every single piece of work is valued exactly the same, and I think that's what it should be in the wider world. It's never going to be like that, unfortunately. The world won't work like that. But if we carry on, like, if it carries on like it does at Prost, which I'm sure it won't, in the rest of the media world, and I'd be very, very easily able to adapt to it. But and I understand the importance of views and stuff like that and stuff. But it's, to me, if I'm happy with the work, then it's quality content. So
yeah, no, it's definitely something that I think gets its negative press, probably deservedly so to a degree as well, because obviously the amount of damage that it causes, more so mentally than anything else. And as you said about Steve Clare not showing the sort of view totals as well. Obviously, because you can't really avoid it though, in the same sense as you said. Once you get to certain positions, it's going to become an inevitable thing. How do you feel you'll combat that sort of vicious cycle almost?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you, but as I believe that I have a thick skin and someone who can take criticism or take, not achieving what maybe some other people think I can take that, because, it's happened to me before, I can deal with it. Other people, though, they might not be able to deal with it, and that's where the system fails. But for myself, I think I'll be able to, if the content template is there, I can produce it, I can make sure that it's ready for the amount of people that could view it, then I think I'd be happy with it, rather than fixating so much on the numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I'd better move on to you now, pal.
Come on, let's shift it over.
Let's shift it over. So I'm not going to be asking too many questions. Well, I'm going to ask some questions in this series, but it's more Hass's Hass's thing, because it's my man.
It's my brainchild.
It is your brainchild. So where did it all start off, mate? What's the first earliest memory that you've got?
In terms of actually practically starting, I was kind of a late bloomer to journalism and media. So fresh out of college, I actually did a business course at college, and I was bored to death of business studies. I'd done it at school, excelled at it, and I did okay with it at college, but it just was not me really. It's funny really that I actually did the route with business, because I still have a D grade in maths at GCSE, and I still don't have a maths GCSE, coincidentally. Made it twice to uni without it.
Exactly.
Big up. Yeah, no. So I went to Cov Uni in 2015, pursuing a law degree, ironically, and I was doing that for, I think I got about 3 or 4 months in that. I was doing okay with it. My grades were pretty strong. I was performing well in classes and stuff, in the practicals and the theoretical sides of it. But it got to about January, and I was like, don't really know if this is what I want to do either. And obviously, having not long turned 18 and stuff, living a bit of sort of a typically reckless lifestyle, being one of the lads and all that sort of thing. Way big up. So yeah, I was that sort of affected my performances gradually. I stopped turning up and that kind of thing. So I sort of dropped out not long before the end of the year, and I was kind of stuck in a scenario where I was like, I don't actually know where I go next. I was working at Asda just on the part-time basis. That was just kind of my thing to do, just to fill the time. And I remember my dad was saying to me, like, why don't you just jump on the management scheme there? Like, there's no point sort of pursuing uni again. It's not really, don't seem that cut out for it. So I was like, do I really want to be that guy that's sort of stuck with something because it was easy? And do I want to be like that 45-year-old dude who's freaking coming down because angry Karen and shouted at me from the customer service desk demanding why the melons stand out of date?
Right. Don't just Karen.
Sorry, I forgot his mom's name's Karen. So is my grandmother as well. She's called Karen. And my manager at work is also called Karen. Big up the Karens. All of you are glorious. So yeah, so I was like, nah, I'm not really happy with that. So I just started writing about, I was like, what am I interested in? Like, I wanted to take a chance on something I've not done before. So I was doing all sorts, tried being a rock star. That didn't really work out. Yeah, I tried that, boys. That didn't really work out. I just wasn't committed enough to being a musician in any sense. Probably not quite on the par ability wise either, but we all try. So I thought, okay, well, I've always had a liking for writing and that kind of thing. Like even when I was a kid, like my dad used to say it to me a lot. My aunt, my dad's sister used to say to me like, oh, "You'll be a journalist when you grow up because you just chat shit 24/7." Like literally, as a kid, because I learned to speak at a very early age. Like I could form full sentences at quite an early age. I don't know the exact age, but I just know my parents say that I was able to speak quite quickly.
Same here.
So like yeah, so you can see that it may just be a thing for people in media. Like they learned the art of words quick. So like I was always interested in reading and writing and just that kind of side of things. So I thought, okay, well I quite enjoyed that. What sort of things could I write about that I enjoyed? And I was massively into mixed martial arts at the time, so like UFC and that kind of thing. So I just started writing. I set up a small blog for myself, started writing on there, and I applied to join like a blog on Facebook that I saw. Wasn't massive. I think it was just over 1k likes or something like that. Nothing massive. So I churned out not many articles for them, maybe about 5, 6. And then I moved on to a site called MMA Thread, which at the time I think was hitting around 50, 60k. They were one of the bigger pages in the UK. And that's kind of where I kicked the door in for general sort of writing anyway, but particularly in MMA. So as soon as I got in with them, like I just went absolutely bananas on just churning writing out left, right, and centre. Like I wrote so much stuff like all the time. I was getting 4, 5, 6 articles in a day. That's my absolute peak. And like I started to get into interviewing people as well. So like I started on the sort of more regional scale of things, like the more UK based promotions. So like there's one called Cage Warriors, which is like the biggest in the UK. And I interviewed a few of their fighters, so like a couple of their champions and stuff, and they're all like really accommodating people. And then from there, I got accredited to my first ever sports sort of show, which was Cage Warriors in London at the O2 Indigo. That was an unbelievable night. So I went down with a colleague and friend, Dylan, and we went down. We weren't really sure what we were doing, if I'm honest. Like we were both just like still young, fresh-faced, fresh-blooded journalists who were eager to make an impression, but weren't quite sure, what to do. Because I'd never studied this sort of stuff before, so like I had no experience of it. So I didn't know all about, taking the correct equipment and where to be, when to be, what questions to ask and stuff like that. I went in completely, essentially blind. So yeah, we went to the event and we networked with a few people. We just kind of got lost in the craze of being accredited press members. And like we met a couple of the fighters from there. We enjoyed the fights that were on. Met a couple of the UFC fighters that were guesting there. Dan Hardy being the first one. That was like the big name that I met. He was a top guy actually. So from there, continued writing, and then I got into interviewing people, like more established kind of names, and that's when I sort of started interviewing UFC fighters. I think that's really what stepped it up for me. So the first like proper UFC fight that I interviewed was a bantamweight fight called Jimmy Rivera. I remember I sat up until 4 a.m. because he's obviously in the States. And I sat up until 4 a.m. just waiting for this interview. And I was literally just like twitching all evening, like, can't wait. Oh my God, need to make sure I get this right. My questions are good enough. And I was sending my questions out to like so many people. And then when the actual interview came, like it went a lot better than I expected it to. Like I was expecting just to fangirl and like lose the plot. But it went well. So it went out. That got really well received. I think it did really well for, views and stuff like that as well, which was big for me at the time because I was still, finding my feet essentially. So that was kind of like my big first moment. And then from there, it sort of it snowballed. And then I stepped up to other sort of mixed martial arts platforms. So then I moved on to MMA Weekly, which is one of the biggest ones in the world. And that's when I started to get accredited. That's when I started my own sort of little project with Dylan and another guy which I met called Sean Cowie, who runs a fight kind of clothing company. So he produces like boxing gloves, MMA gloves, fight shorts, and all those kind of things. And I approached him about the idea of starting just a blog, basically. And so I pitched the idea to him. I said, this is what we'll do. This is how we'll set it up. We'll recruit people. And he was all up for it, and it was a worthwhile gig, man, because like I got to pocket from it, which was good, and that was a good opening experience. And massive props to Sean for taking that gamble, because he didn't know how it was going to work out. He could have just been paying two bozos to do whatever, really. But we made it worth the while. Like, I remember when, so the first kind of big hit that we had was when Conor McGregor attacked the bus, the famous bus attack incident, which I'm pretty sure everybody, even non-UFC fans, know about.
Yeah.
And I remember we were posting updates and videos that we found all over the internet and stuff, and we were getting 30, 40k views and stuff. It was mad. So from there, that kind of really pushed our kind of standing up. So then that's when I discovered how to apply for the UFC's press accreditation portal. And I was like, no way am I going to get into this. I've only been doing this for 2 and a bit years. The outlet's not even a year old. I stand no chance. So I thought, okay, well, they've got a debut show coming up in Liverpool soon. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a go. If you don't ask, you don't get. So I applied for this show. Didn't hear anything. Started harassing the press officer, do you know when you're going to tell us when it comes out? Do you know when you're going to tell us it's going to come out? When we get confirmed and stuff. So then when it finally came out and I got the email saying, yeah, you've been accepted to come and cover the UFC Liverpool, that was the crowning moment. I'd reached the sort of top of the point. I could have stopped then and I could have been happy. That would have been it for me. So yeah, off I went down to Liverpool. I went by myself actually, because nobody else I knew was able to get it. So on the train I hopped down to Liverpool, got to the Echo Arena, absolutely soiling myself, because this is the big show. This is where the big boys essentially play. All the big journalists are there. BT Sport, The Telegraph, all these kind of big name media outlets. There's big name journalists in there, like Gareth Davies, for example. He was there. Kugan Cassius from IFL TV. He was there. Just so many of these guys, like the Fight Disciples guys, they were all there. And I'm just sat there, in my little Moss Brothers suit, trying to look the part, act the part, not quite sure what to do with myself. So I'm just sort of ghosting between the arena floor and the sort of the scrum room at the back. So then, and this is probably one of the more embarrassing memories that I had. So I'm in there minding my own business, and there's a bit of ruckus going on behind me. Everyone's gasping, oh look, oh my god, look who it is. So I turn around and it's big old heavyweight boxer Tony Bellew in there. I'd only just watched this guy knock out David Haye a few weeks ago, so I'm literally just oh my god, it's Tony Bellew. So I'm just sort of starstruck. So I'm literally just stood at the end of the room, just staring at him, eyes wide open. Anyway, yeah. So I went over then to film a fight scrum, not knowing then when I turned around that Bellew was right behind me, and I walked square into him. Okay, so bearing in mind, I'm only 5'6" on a good day, not the best guy in the world. Tony Bellew is 6'4", 200+ pounds, so I am absolutely dwarfed by this man. So I'm just looking up oh my god. So obviously, he's there, just reassuring in that lovely Scouse accent that he's got. Not going to imitate it because just not going to do it. not. All right. For the views, he's like, it's all right, lad, it's all right. That was terrible. But yeah, so I'm just so embarrassed. But anyway, yeah, so that was my embarrassing moment of that night. So then from there, I got to cover another event not long after that. So there's Bellator, which is another big promotion in the MMA game. And I saw some fantastic sort of characters there. So got to see 50 Cent there, which was incredible. Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy, absolute brilliant guy.
Jurassic Park, is he in that?
Jurassic Park as well, yeah.
There you go.
Man knows his films.
I really don't.
Yeah, just all those sort of things, man. You see so many of these sort of A-list celebrities, and right. How do I conduct myself? But it's even when I stepped into that arena in London for Bellator, and Gareth Davies came in again, he's quite a sorry, I've got the hiccups because I'm not long eaten. He's quite a big name in the combat sports world for especially for journalism. He's covered so many events in the way of MMA, boxing, and he writes for some of the big boys, BT Sport, Telegraph, I think off the top of my head. So he walks in, and me and Dylan are just sort of sat on the sofa, just just chilled out, going with the vibe. And he walks in, he's like, it's brilliant to see sort of like two young guys just sort of taking it in stride. Like we were literally just sat there like browsing the internet on our laptops because we've been struggling to get on the Wi-Fi for ages. So yeah, like that was another like top experience. Then from there, it was when I finally branched into football. I'd always wanted to make the step over, just never quite knew how. So finally made the step, and I started off with a blog through a guy I met on Twitter called what was it called now? Sports Matrix. So I did a couple of articles for them, and from then I moved on to the Real Champs, which is part of the finance-sided network. I've written hundreds of articles for those guys now. And that's then when I stepped up to Prost through, again, the aforementioned Conor Dunford. So I was in a Twitter group chat with him. And I remember I was interested in getting accredited to the Premier League and stuff like that because I'd known that he had. And I was like, mate, how have you done it? Like, just share your secret. What's the secret? And he's like, oh, I write for this outlet. They're accredited, to all these games and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, let me jump in on this. So yeah, in I came. And my first experience of accreditation with Prost was watching Birmingham versus Fulham, and to date, my only accreditation so far, with Prost at least. Anyway, that's only because of the postponement of the season so far. Yeah. But yeah, no. So obviously that's where I jumped in there, met yourself and all the other guys that you've already mentioned. So Adrian and all those kind of guys, and then alongside Prost as well, I joined a social media platform. Well, not social media platform. Sorry. Social media page called La Liga Lowdown. That's thanks to Sky Sports News presenter David Garrido, who's been an absolute gem since I've met him, really. Always super helpful and has really sort of opened doors for me. So alongside that and getting to do regular work placements with Football Daily as well. So that's thanks to Chris Hamill, who again has been an absolute diamond since I met him.
Subscribe to
I've been quite lucky. Yeah. Jesus, don't say that. Don't say that. I think I might never get spoken to again if I said that. So like in a short space of time, I feel like I've done a hell of a lot.
I think so too, from this.
In the space of like 3 years, I really feel like I've stepped up a hell of a lot. And in all that time, I've been also doing university as well. So I'm in my third and final year and about to graduate soon. So man, it's been a hell of a ride. Hell of a ride so far.
What do you think is your most preferred avenue that you want to go down? Because obviously you love your broadcasting. You love a bit of cheeky.
You know what? Broadcast was actually a late thing for me. I didn't get into broadcast until I'd say last year, early last year, maybe late the year before. So I actually didn't have a feel for that at all. And I wasn't interested in it. In any sense. I actually just wanted to write. That's all I wanted to do. When I first started, I only ever wanted to write because I always thought I'd be too shy to go in front of camera, and it took me a long time to get over that as well. So when I finally sort of stepped behind a microphone and got kind of used to being in front of camera, I was like, I reckon I could get into this. So yeah, that's when I sort of stepped into broadcasting and that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of where I prefer to head at this stage. Because it's so much more interesting, man.
I say exactly the same. I love writing, I do, and I love writing pieces which other people may not have encountered before. But at the same time, I just don't really like the monotonous side of it. Like you get bad with it. So when I'm going to ask a cheeky personal question now. So, what is the most unprofessional podcast you have ever been on?
Oh, that's hard.
The young ones included.
The young ones probably could have a shout out there. Timeless Debates is definitely unprofessional, but it's so brilliant. I don't care.
I love it.
To be fair, I've had a few ones where so for the Real Champs, I've had a few episodes where I literally just go ape shit at people. I just openly call people out for no reason because I used to think that was the done thing. Obviously, I've learned as I've gone along that that's just not okay. But yeah, no, I used to just randomly call people out for absolutely no reason. I'd see someone on Twitter who put out a really terrible opinion, and I'd be like, go on Twitter and go on the podcast and openly be like, oh yeah, at is whatever their username was. You're a twat, and I hope you're listening because you're a twat. I used to just think that this was the okay thing to do, and then I realised, you know what, that's probably not a good thing to do, and that is not going to look very good on the old CV.
I mean, it's timeless debate.
Yeah, but to be fair, there is a disclaimer with that to say
nothing.
This is not serious.
Yeah, please don't take anything in this podcast seriously.
Like, not long ago, we talked about who would you rather punch in the face if you had the choice. Like, who would you get into a fight with? Like, I don't condone that behaviour at all. Like, I'm not saying if you locked me in a room with Jesse Lingard, I would attack him, because I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of guy. But if you asked me hypothetically if I could do it, would I? Maybe.
Exactly. Like, and that's what makes it so great. It's like it just loosens everything up. And I'm going to ask you this question. With podcasts and maybe even videos and stuff like that nowadays, you have to keep a very sort of tight lip, I think.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that's the right or the wrong way to go about it?
I think because of how much the world changes so much, it's like not long ago, like back in even as early as the 90s, you could make homophobic jokes and get away with it. You can make slightly racist jokes and get away with it. Now, you do that and you've got Ofcom or whoever else on your ass, and you know, you've got media complaints and you'll have to deal with, you know, X, Y, and Z coming at you, or you just get dismissed from places. Like the amount of times like that I've seen, there was quite a high profile situation. I think I saw it last year for a website called Football 365, where a writer had posted like sexist tweets or something along that lines not long ago. Like this was years ago, and someone had unearthed them. And as a result of those being out there, he just got cancelled, like left, right, and centre got cancelled. Even with Copper 90, when you saw, I think it was Vooch who got done for his, I think it was sexist views again. I'm not saying, you know, he's you know, a sexist pig or anything, but obviously, you know, he had put things out before which were of sexist nature. Now, obviously, that's no longer acceptable. Maybe it was when he tweeted it, not so much now. And I think because the goalpost shifts so much, you actually have to be even more careful, more so than ever, because we live in an era where cancel culture is the done thing. Like,
however stupid that is, by the way, because people.
I think it's ridiculous because like you just can't seem to really have fun anymore. Like, I'm not saying that go out and make a racist joke because that's stupid, but if it's something slightly tongue in cheek, exactly.
Like timeless debates, like we don't cross the line when it comes to like race.
No, exactly.
We just like literally chat shit.
Literally, it's all it is. We just chat a load of poo. And that works for us, but you know, in a serious sense, people probably think, oh yeah, you're sort of hedging on a bit of a fine line, but I don't think so, man.
I don't think timeless debates crosses the line, but I think like if you were talking about
like, I can guarantee you somebody out there
will be offended by it, probably.
We'll probably hear us say, you know, I'd slap Jesse Lingard. Why do I keep picking on Jesse Lingard?
Jesse.
Poor Jesse, man. Look, listen, I don't have much against you. You're a bit cringy, but I got nothing against you. Like, somebody would hear that and think, oh, you know, he condones violence. He's an aggressive man. And automatically, you know, that then would possibly become a reputation, and then you're all of a sudden in a rabbit hole because no one wants to take you on, because nobody wants to be seen taking on, you know, a guy that has views of violence or politically incorrect views and things like that. It's just a PC era, man. That's the problem.
Yeah, and there's PC and then there's idiotic PC. Like, people take things out of context so much nowadays.
Very, very easily.
It's an absolute joke in my opinion. But
the amount of times I've seen something said and someone just completely takes it the wrong way. It's just like, well, I'm not sure that's what he meant, but it's like, look at Tyson Fury, for example. I know he's not a man in media, but he got like absolutely slayed for the homophobic comments that he made a number of years ago now. Yet all of a sudden now he's, you know, loved everywhere. Like at one point vilified. Now, you know, everyone deems him acceptable because, you know, of what he represents in the way of, you know, his battle against mental health and stuff. I think people paint the line where they want to paint it to what suits them.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem at this stage.
Absolutely, mate. Well, I think that was probably a good place to to conclude our episode. So you can conclude it, mate, as it is your.
So yeah, no, I know I waffled on about experience for a long time. So apologies if it was a bit long there.
That's what it's about, though, isn't it? And
that's what it's about.
And it's basically introducing us anyway, because that's what we're going to be doing with other people. It's only going to be one person an episode, so like it's not going to be the two of us rambling on all the time, because we could probably do it all day. Not going to lie. Yeah,
no, easily. But yeah, no, for sure. So in the coming weeks, we've got a massive amount of people we've lined up, carefully selected, but a good variety as well. You know, there's media pros in there and people from other industries and other positions and stuff. So we've definitely got a hell of a lot of exciting stuff to come.
Especially on winning mentality, and get us to 200 by the end of May.
Yeah, we could very well get there. We're near enough 150, so help us out.
Yeah, up the Reds.
Up the Reds, as Chris always likes to say.
That should conclude our episode. So give us an outro, Haas.
And see ya.